Well, good afternoon. This is a fairly serious subject, so I probably not going to make anybody laugh too often, except you can laugh at me if you like. And so I am really, really honored to be here. This is a tremendous, tremendous gathering of mothers and fathers and people who care about women and people who care about childbirth. During the lunch hour, Doctora and Deborah and I were engaged in a conversation that has given me much hope for the future, and I really thank you. I am going home energized, beyond energized, and for those of you who know me, that's pretty dangerous. So, in your materials, you're going to see a document that I'd ask the folk to print, and it's called Respectful Maternity Care. I'm not going to go through it. I'm not going to read it. It's just a reference for you to know what is on the international scene or coming up on the international scene in terms of promoting and furthering respectful, non-abusive care for birthing women. Before I start, okay, now technology and Jerry are not compatible, so I will do my best here to not make it a total mess of things. I'd like to open with telling you that my life has been profoundly changed by working with the women from the margins. They have taught me everything I know about injustice. I didn't know it really existed. I cannot believe how ignorant I was when we moved to the Philippines in 1987. I had personally never felt that I had experienced it. I came from a mindset that was not sympathetic to women, from a mindset that was not sympathetic to women in labor, including myself. And I just had no idea of what life was really like out there. And these women and their stories changed my life. We work with the poor, and they live in profound injustice every single day. If you are poor and you are a woman, you are in trouble, and you're in trouble every day. And yet these women, and we've been doing this for years and years, so now I'm talking about thousands of women, every morning they wake up in a context of injustice, and they square their shoulders, and they gather their children, and they make that day happen every single day. We sometimes would do a drawing with the women to help them share their stories. And it's called a self-portrait. I'm a community developer, among other things. Depends on what day it is and what hat I'm wearing. And so we'd have them draw a self-portrait, and so we would gather around and hand out paper and colored pencils, and one story, one drawing, and then we'd have the women share about what they drew and why they drew it. I think the most profound story I've ever heard came from a woman who probably did not have a third grade education. And she drew a bamboo tree. And in the tree were several little birds. And she said, "I am the bamboo tree, and the birds are my children. And when the wind blows almost to the ground, when that wind blows me almost to the ground, my children can hang on to me, and we will rise again. You cannot get better than that. That is one of the most profound things I've ever heard. And these women are so brave and have so much courage, and they teach me every single day. This is a tribute to them in a sense, and I guess a plea that we work together to put injustice toward women away forever. Let's see. How do I get it to be big? I guess it is big. It looks small on my screen. I told you, this doesn't look. So the issue of justice runs very deep for me. If you do the Enneagram, I'm an 8. I'm a challenger. I'm an 8 with a 7 wing. If you do the Enneagram, that means I'm a maverick, so I don't know what that says. But justice is a huge, huge thing for me. It's a driver behind the beginning and the continuing existence of Schiffer Birthing Home. We are a ministry of hospitality, and whoever God sends us, whoever crosses that threshold, is welcome. And they're welcome to be treated with love and dignity and respect. You know, we may not like them, but we'll love them. That's justice in action, and that's who we are. All maternal health care can and should be, now I'm going to say this again, all maternal health care can and should be an instrument of justice. It should be justice shown through loving, skilled care in a context of dignity. Every mother and every baby is a gift of God to the world. White Ribbon Alliance is proposing this document that you have, Respectful Maternity Care, the Universal Rights of Childbearing Women. And they open with the following statement. And this was a shocker to me. I don't know why it shocked me. I shouldn't have been surprised. Human rights are fundamental entitlements. Now, I've changed the word entitlements because it has fallen on hard times. It's not a good word to use anymore. So I went to my thesaurus, and I can use power, and I like that better. Human rights are fundamental powers, power, due to all people, recognized by societies and governments and enshrined in international declarations and conventions. To date, and this was where I was blown away, to date, no universal charter or instrument specifically delineates how human rights are implicated in the childbearing process or affirms their application to childbearing women as basic and inalienable human rights. I couldn't believe it. There is nothing, there's all kinds of human rights charters, but there's nothing that pertains to women in childbirth. A USAID funded 2010 landscape research project gathering data, and they're dealing with facility-based care. Now, I don't want to jump all over facility-based care. That's not why I'm here. But facility-based care is where people that do research can gather data. It's pretty hard to gather data otherwise. So I'll be talking about and referencing facility-based care today. But they gathered data from 18 different nations. And it shows this, and this was an interesting thing to me as well. Growing evidence for skilled birthing care utilization across a range of countries suggests that, and here's the shocker, disrespect and abuse may sometimes act as more powerful deterrents to skilled birth care utilization than other more commonly recognized deterrents, such as geographic and financial obstacles. In other words, and so when I read this, I thought, you know what? That's true. When we have to transfer a laboring woman to hospital care because she's gone out of our scope of practice, her labor has gone on too long, it's not progressed well. If we have blood pressure issues, whatever may be the reason, if we have to transfer care from Shifra to a hospital, we will have tears and we will have begging from her and from her family. Please, 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 can I stay? Please, please don't take me. Is it just money? No, it's not. It's about the abusive and thorough disrespect in treatment that they'll get when they get there, and they know it. They know it. I have seen a woman in labor struck so hard by a doctor that it knocked her to the floor because she refused to follow his orders. And he backhanded her and dropped her to her knees. We work primarily with marginalized women, and here is what happens. Here is what happens whenever we have to transport, and this is why they beg us not to take them. Her family and her midwife will be denied entry to be with her while she labors. She will be alone. No family, no familiar faces, no one to comfort, no one to encourage. She will be alone. She will just be Mrs. And that alone is abuse. And it's acknowledged as abusive treatment by World Health Organization and UNICEF, and it happens here and worldwide every single day, hundreds of times. She'll be forced to give birth in full lithotomy position, spread-eagled on a torturous delivery table, no care given to her modesty or her emotional needs. In fact, sometimes she is even mocked when she cries. I've heard from other caregivers in some of the major hospital delivery rooms that doctors and nurses will say, "You didn't cry like that when you were making that baby, now did you, Mrs.?" No. No. That is abuse, and it's also bad obstetrical practice. She will be given no choice as to the birthing position she prefers. When her voice is silenced, her right to choice denied, that's abuse. A wealth of evidence-based research over the past 2 decades has shown positive birth outcomes increase when a woman can choose her own birth position. The current research showing that, and a host of other recommendations that fly in the face of current local invasive facility-based practices, and Shifra's a facility too, folks. We're a facility too. And we have to rethink what we do as well all the time. We have to revisit, are we slipping? Are we sliding? I appreciate our doctor's comments this morning that you get it up to speed and then it slips and slides and you have to revisit it. Okay, so, but there are certain invasive practices that have no obstetrical merit. One is a routine episiotomy, frequent vaginal exams, artificial rupture of membranes, and fundal pressure found in many local facilities here and around the world. Those practices are strongly opposed and condemned by World Health, UNICEF, the American Congress of Obstetricians and Gynecologists, the International Federation of Gynecology and Obstetrics, the International Confederation of Midwives, and the International Pediatric Association, all affirming this proposed charter that you have in your hands with the intention of reducing abuse and disrespect in an effort to curb maternal and infant mortality. Maybe you're one of the millions of women throughout the ages and around the world who have encountered disrespectful, abusive treatment during facility-based childbirth. Maybe you're one of them. Maybe you've been abused. And sometimes we don't even know it. Sometimes we don't recognize the abuse. When I was having my babies 40 years ago, abuse was not a word that was used in giving birth. We didn't even think about it. We went in and had our babies. But I realized years and years later that actually I had experienced abuse twice. And I'll just tell you one experience. It was with my first baby. I should have learned spinning babies 46 years ago. All my kids were posterior. All my births were posterior. In other words, the baby was sunny side up. And when you're pregnant, it's really cute because you can see all the little feeties and knees moving around and you think, oh, isn't that cute? No, it's not cute, ladies. You don't want to see those little bumps coming and going and go, oh, isn't that cute? I can just see all that. He looks like popcorn in there. No, we do not want to see that. All my babies delivered that way. The reason you don't want that is because when your baby's posterior, it is a long, hard, painful, unproductive labor, and it can go on for a really, really, really long time. So I get into the hospital, I'm checked, routine vaginal exam. I was 3 cm. Okay, first baby, all right. So hours later, I was 4 centimeters. The nurse would come in and she'd do her routine hourly, in those years, hourly vaginal exams. I'm curled up on my side. My husband is with me in the labor room. I'm biting my pillow rather than him. Although I thought it might not be a bad idea to bite him once in a while too, but I didn't. I just bit my pillow. And she'd tell me to roll over so she could check me. I don't think I've ever experienced any more excruciating pain in my life than rolling over on my back so she could do her routine check and tell me, well, you're still 4 centimeters. If you didn't complain so much, maybe you'd do better. Well, that's abuse, and I didn't know it. Somehow it was all my fault because I was in pain and I was asking her to, can we please not have the exam? Can I please not have it? That was abuse. When she said that, I could have ripped her face off. Whose body was this anyway? Hers or mine? And I know what I felt. I felt like it was a rusty hacksaw going through my spine. And so, ladies, remember the spinning babies exercises. Now, I gave birth to each of, I have 6 children, gave birth to in hospitals to all of them, 2 different hospitals, 2 different doctors, 2 different birthing attendants. Pretty hospital, you know. I was in lithotomy position, up in stirrups. But I'll tell you what, they were good births, all 6 of them. And even though everything was wrong with what I know now, yet they were wonderful experiences. I remember each with joy. And why is it that way? What has made them so good? What made them good, and this is what I really want to focus on, what made them good is I had a voice. I was not handcuffed. I was not silenced. I had a voice. I had a genuine relationship, talking and most of all being heard by my doctors. They treated me like I actually had a brain between these two ears, and they heard my voice. And even if they, I think if I had known then what I know today, and I'd asked to try some funky positions, I think they would have let me do that. And I have no idea how to get this thing back on track. There I go. I had a voice, and they were hearing me. They were taking me seriously. They weren't treating me like some fluff head. They were treating me really seriously. Women, we are up against what is also called maternal wall bias. And to make matters worse, when we're in reproduction mode, it gets worse. Research has shown that pregnant and nursing women and birthing women are actually treated worse than women that are not visibly pregnant. It's a deeply held but unaware thought that women who are pregnant are somehow less competent, more irrational, less capable, less dependable, and less authoritative than women who are not pregnant. It's called maternal wall bias. A 2006 study of patriarchal language, which is also a put down. What's the language? Words are important. Was it you that somebody in the presentations today talked about the importance of words that are said, words that nurses say, words that doctors say? And have you ever had anybody say to you, well, who delivered your baby? Well, a good answer is nobody delivered my baby. I gave birth. It was me. Where's the power? Where's the power? Is the power in the doctor or the nurse or the midwife who delivers, who catches that baby? No, it's in the woman who gave birth. She's the one with the power. I'd like to share a story from Shifra. I've got two of them here, but our time is short. I'm not sure which one to pick. I'll pick the worst one. It's the most graphic. We had a woman, this is years ago, and her labor was long and hard, and the baby was not coming easily. It was her second birth, and we had expected it to be hard. The reason we expected it to be hard is we were working through emotional issues. The baby was in great position. It was her second baby. But on her first birth, the baby had been coming really fast, and she was laying on an examination table. And she said, the baby's coming, and the people that were in the room, the nurses and doctors didn't believe her. She was a first-time mother. What does she know? She doesn't know anything about this. She's not the professional. And she kept saying, the baby's coming. They stepped out of the room. The baby came, fell to the floor, and was killed. Why? Because they didn't listen to her. They didn't listen to her voice. Her voice was not heard. And all of our energy was focused on comfort and building trust that would not happen again. And she could release that baby and give birth. And she did, but it took time because her trust had been shattered. There is no more important thing that you can do than listen to the voice of women. Here in the Philippines, it's a challenge. But the way forward, we must move forward as we work together to hear the voice and honor the voice of women. Hear them when they speak. And I'm going to move through a bunch of slides here. But it's our choice. It's our choice, women. It's our choice, birthing caregivers. It's our choice. It's our choice. What do we want? Do we want this? Or do we want this? Do we want this? Or do we want this? Do we want this? Or do we want this? The choice is ours. We have a voice. We need to be visible. We need to raise our voices. Don't be shy. Don't be shy. We can do this. We just need to listen and hear the voice of our mothers. Kaya mo. Kaya mo yan. Thank you.